wrote off to the BBC, totally blind more than anything, literally just a bog standard CV. This is me, this is what I sound like, these are my interests, have you got anything? I personally got very lucky. They must have literally been sitting at BBC HQ, cool, we could do with maybe somebody to do a bit of work experience or something. Oh, who's this guy's CV that's just turned up car boats? What's he saying? Yeah, not too bad. We'll give him a go. Never forget it, sitting at home, Tuesday night, phone goes, and it's, hello, this is Emma Joslin at the BBC. We're looking for somebody to come and guest read out the full-time scores live on BBC One this Saturday. Are you free? Well, just check the diary. Yes, of course I am. So I thought, to be fair, it was somebody winding me up. One of my friends has heard that just got one of their friends to ring me up, and I'm going to look at prize when I get there Saturday. But nonetheless, went along, got to White City, walked into the BBC studios, where you feel extremely small as you walk into this huge building. You've got massive reception, very sheepishly quiet and calm place. I'm pretty sure I'm on a wind-up, but hopefully my name's down. It was, thankfully. So first thing you do, and it's almost like you end up in your own little dream world, because you walk in, you go through reception, and suddenly the first thing I do is I walk in and I bump into Zoe Paul and Gary Lineker having a play fight, which was still now very weird. Went through there, got to meet all the Football Focus. When you walk in there, you've literally got a split room, a bit like yourself. They had the Football Focus team here, Match of the Day this side, not for any hatred reasons, but just they're working in their own little ways, because obviously Football Focus is going to be within the next couple of hours. Match of the Day, they're just watching the reviews for later on. So games start at 3 o'clock. I got to sit in with both of them watching there, which is, again, very surreal. I'm sitting down. I had literally, if I remember correctly, to my right I had Alan Hansen, Mark Lawrenson, Muggins, Peter Schmeichel, Lineker, and I can't remember, but again, very weird. And they were having a general chat about the games. You had 9 flat screen tellies, all the latest Premier League games happening, and they were asking, just having a general chat, and they're asking my opinion. Like, oh, Carl, what do you think of so-and-so? I was like, who cares? You scored a World Cup semi-final, you've won European Championships. I once played at Cambridge United around my school team. This is hardly a level conversation. But got through that without saying something too stupid. And then at, I think it was at 5 o'clock, the full-time scores had come in. They got, I think it was like James Alexander or whoever it was that normally read them out. And to meet somebody's voice that's that famous as a person is quite strange. So I watched him read out the scores, and then sure enough, at 5:45 it was my turn. Unbeknown to me, the guys that worked there had a little sweepstake, and if I'd fluff it or not, thankfully I proved them wrong. At 5:45 they raced us, passed over to me, and I read out the full-time scores live, BBC One to 3.2 million people. Thankfully, didn't fluff it. So now the CV's gone from, well, not bad to pretty good. So off the back of that, I then looked on the Guardian website, and they had a advert for football commentators wanted. So sent the details along. It was narrowed down to about 5-6 people. First person I don't think showed up because they had to get a replacement bus or this and that. First huge piece of advice: if you ever get a remote opening, never say no, and God, get there. Because if you don't, somebody else will, and if they get ahead of you, it's going to be ridiculously hard to get there. So if anybody ever offers you any work, it doesn't matter whatever, if it's Inverness, Caledonian Thistle, away, yeah, fine, I'll just have to rearrange my life forever. But go, because if you don't, somebody, for example, if that was your opportunity, if you didn't take it and somebody else does, then you might have the chance and you might not. I don't think literally you guys personally, but you get the point. You get an opportunity, just take it. So, anyway, back to where I was. And so, first I didn't show up, I was the second. It was, highly glamorous time, Mansfield v Barnet. And at the time, the guy who was interviewing people for the role was Barry Swain. And so I went along, Barry was there, never met each other at the time, and I went along. At the time, all Barry wanted was just basically a summariser, but the actual role on the day was just using a laptop, getting the latest scores to come in, and whenever there was a break in play, Barry'd come to me and I'd read out the latest scores and what was happening in League Two. But Barry did say at the time, if you want to have a go at summarising, you press this button, I'll show you the ISDN kit in a while, it puts your microphone and everything live, and then you can actually commentate on the game itself, if you want to help summarise. I thought at the time, I'm never going to get another chance, so I had a go. Luckily it worked very well. Barry was suitably impressed to give me another chance, and we worked on, basically I was given the opportunity from there. I worked as a volunteer for, I think it was about a season and a half, so I was Barry's summariser. We went home and away covering Barnet up to Accrington, to Torquay, to Hereford, to wherever. But I went along out of my own pocket, but it gave me valuable experience. And then when Barry moved on to do some internet commentaries and do various other things, the BBC knew exactly what I sounded like. They knew I knew how to use the equipment. They knew I was keen because I'd been going around basically paying for it. And so literally, the minute Barry moved out of the way, they naturally offered me the position, and I took it. Been doing that, as I say, for about 5 years now. I've moved up the ladder. Once Barnet finally said goodbye to League Two, even though they somehow managed, and I still to this day have no idea how they survived as long as they did. When they got relegated, BBC London don't cover conference games, because with the amount of teams you have in London, they just simply wouldn't be able to fit them in. And so I was lucky enough. I said, look, Carl, you're still, in commentary terms, young lad. We don't want to lose you. We'll move you up into the main game with, as Barry mentioned earlier on, Phil Parry. And we work with, for some of the older generation, that Steve Froggatt, Jamie Scowcroft, and Bradley Allen as well. They're our co-commentators. So it's me, Phil Parry, and one of those three working at match days. I've been to speaking to one of the guys here. We've done Fulham, West Ham, Cardiff, Palace, Liverpool, Everton. Been really, really lucky this year. I've been able to go around and sort of be literally mixing it with the big boys, and it's been a real eye opener. It's been, it's literally living the dream. It is possible. I'll very quickly, because I've still got a couple of minutes left of my 10, I will show you the equipment that I was using when I've been out and about. This, for example, and we can do this. I'm going to be here all afternoon, so by all means, tune me here, not literally, but about any questions you want to ask. But basically, on a match day, if you're in, for example, this is what we use. It's basically an ISDN kit. Now, it's almost like a phone. That's your phone number that you're going to dial in. You plug your headphones in at this end here. You then, with Fizzball's on, you lighten them up. And so you put in your, one would be like, for example, myself, two would be my co-commentator, three is an effects mic. So we're listening to the radio, and you hear like the crowd in the background. That'll be an effects mic that we've got there to take in that in the background. You don't just want to hear us. You want to actually hear. You want to get the full atmosphere that you can. These unfortunately aren't the cheapest thing in the world, but if you start getting regular work, you will probably need one of them, unless like you're working for the BBC or something, they can almost loan you one while you're doing the work with them. You'll need on your match day things that you can't do too much research. You always want to be armed with as much information as you can, because if you're commentating on a game, you can guarantee the one bit you haven't got information on, you've got one player you're missing, for example, it's bound to come on the pitch, score 7 goals, get sent off and do everything, and you've got no idea how you can pronounce his name. So what I use personally, this is, by the way, the grid I'd get sent from the BBC. So you've probably be able to read it, but just to give you a rough idea, here are all the fixtures the BBC are covering on that day. We've then got the people who are covering it, like you've got Phil, Emma, so on and so on, as myself, I was doing Stoke Fulham that day. That's the numbers you're going to be dialing in on, so you've just got a general idea, and then also you get sent a script through, which would give you a rough idea when they come to you what they're going to say. Because you don't want to, before the game, you don't want to go around the grounds and they say, oh, now we're going to go to Stoke to talk to Carl Bates or whoever. You don't want your first two lines to be, Stoke are under a lot of pressure today, and they come to you with, oh, and Carl, Stoke are under a lot of pressure. That's what I was going to say. So luckily most of the time, I won't say all the time, you still have to do a bit on the fly, because occasionally the studio will be screaming at you, what's going on, Carl, now? So don't necessarily guarantee that. This is obviously, you've probably seen these before, but that's the team sheet that you'd be given. Now in theory you should get that an hour before kick-off, but even at Premier League level you may get that 20 past quarter. But the great thing is places like Twitter, because social media will give you that information 2 o'clock and 3 seconds, bang. So that is really handy to have. So these are great, but Twitter is probably going to be your best friend, especially when you're first starting off and you're doing League 2, League 1 conference or whatever, because you can be at grounds where they may be literally writing this out for you and you might not get this till the game's kicked off. And now, we've also got this, is what I use. This is basically, this will be the last bit, and I'll depart from your ears. Now this is what I use on match day. It's basically the information for the game. I split everything, so you have this side would be Stoke's information, this side is Fulham's. And so I will have here, it's basically blank to start off with, and then as I get the team news in, this is how Fulham are going to line up, this is how Stoke are lining up. So when I'm talking about the game, I would have this on my lap. So luckily, obviously, if it's Stoke Fulham, you're probably going to be quite familiar with a lot of the players. If it's Chesterfield v Macclesfield, you haven't covered them before, you may not know any of the players at all. You might have seen bits you've covered on the internet, but at least he's left back. And the good thing with football is because people play in positions, so you might not know who that left back is, but when he walks out on the pitch, that's what he looks like. And then again, just little bits of information, snippets of information of the last results they've had, a bit of injury news in regard to Fulham, Stoke. So when then you get the team news in, you know, yeah, he's missing, that will be why, because he's struggling with a hamstring or he's struggling with a groin injury. And that's always how they lined up last week. So when you get your team news in, either here or here, you literally can just go against it, tick, cross, tick, cross, tick, cross. You can get the stats that way. So you've got the information as quick as you can, because you never know if it's delayed for whatever reason or the production team need to come to you, then you're going to need this information as quick as you can get it.
I thought they were good there.
What was the score in the...
Yeah, Buzz, stick your tongue out.
Ska 6 out of that.
And it would be a disaster.
Nazari, excellent tackle, being dispossessed, and now a chance. Ali just wide of the keeper's left-hand post, almost went to the corner, just drifted off target. Howard needs the option to perfect Howard. However, he will put the shots.
But with an even smaller trophy, we'd like to call up the Cup final winners. 3-0 winners in the final against South East Wanderers, the Commentary Cup winners 2014, Twisted Cinnamon. And as I say, if you want to hang around, we'll come down in literally 1 minute's time to take some photos.